someplace over the beautiful Pacific Northwest, this is the Space Dog Radio Show. I'm the Space Dog. Thanks for tuning in. Space Dog Radio is your remote location radio station. Come to you 24/7 around the planet and throughout the universe from SpaceDogRadio.com. Shouts out to our business partners, Radio Days Coffee, Lake Stevens, Washington, The Speakeasy, Portland, Oregon, The Twilight Room and Bar in Powell Boulevard, Portland, Oregon, Rick's Roadhouse, Rockaway Beach, Rockaway Beach's Rockin' Place, and also shouts out for our long-term listeners, Mukilteo to Melbourne, Toronto to Tachikawa, all over the place. We know you're out there, and thank you very much. Today, we've got a guy on the line, doesn't need too much of an introduction, Mr. Mark Taylor-Canfield, independent journalist. Thank you again for being on Space Dog Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me again, and support independent media, everybody, please. It's important.
What do you have for us from news from under the radar?
Well, I'm going to stick to a summer theme here since it's the middle of summer and everybody's out enjoying themselves at the beach and at music festivals. By the way, Rockaway Beach is an amazing place, and Rick's Roadhouse is a great place to hang out, so everybody check that out if you're down on the west coast of Oregon. Beautiful, beautiful beaches down there. And got a chance to get out of the city and enjoy the sunshine. It was like Southern California, man. It was nice.
Sweet.
But up here, yes. Up here on, oh, by the way, we were down there with my psychedelic fish, which we'll talk about on another show, but I think he's going to have his own Facebook site soon.
All right.
But up here in Seattle, we've had a lot of festivals going on. We've had the Seafair celebration. So there was a whole day of events at Seattle Center. Lots of free stuff being given away, lots of fun there. And then after that, there was a march through downtown, the Torchlight Parade. So that happened a couple weeks ago. And then last weekend, we had the hydroplane races out on Lake Washington, which is a very popular thing up here in Seattle. Those fast racing boats are pretty exciting to watch. Noisy, like the Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels, not the Thunderbirds. That's Jerry Anderson, the sci-fi.
You're going to tick off a bunch of Air Force people out there. Anyway, the Blue Angels, absolutely great show this past weekend, yeah. Yeah,
some people complain because of the noise. I'm sure for people who have PTSD from former combat, it can be kind of unnerving to have jets flying over your head so low in the middle of the day. But there is that. So we've had Seafair. There was also Folklife earlier this year in May, and that was a big free festival in Seattle that everybody loves. We saw a lot of good folk punk bands from down Portland way from Oregon, and also some really good blues. But, yes, I should mention, if I'm going to mention Seafair, I've got to mention the pirates. There's a bunch of pirates that were running around town for a couple of weeks, along with a lot of sailors from U.S. military ships that were docked down on Elliott Bay. But lots of pirates running around, Seafair pirates, causing trouble, saying arg, yar, and all that. So that was a lot of fun. They have a little mobile boat that can just drive down the road, and I saw them picking up a bunch of sailors actually along the way, and they had a big party. There was the Liberty Festival out at Alki Beach. That was fun. And they had one of the pianos set up there, which is a great program. The King County and Seattle Parks Department have put together the Pianos in the Parks program, where they have 20 artists that they invited to decorate these pianos. They put them out in the parks, and now everybody's getting free concerts all day long. And I've been playing them almost every day. So it's a great time, great program in Seattle. I wrote the Parks Department a letter saying, you guys are geniuses. Keep it up. Let's see, we had the summer festival scene is also livening up with the free concerts at Mural Amphitheater, which is a big amphitheater right below the Space Needle in Seattle, down at Seattle Center. Those are being sponsored by KEXP, our local music station, and we got to see some great music there 2 weekends ago. That was Kipkin, which is a local band which does this very, very experimental kind of psychedelic punk fusion prog rock. I can't even describe it. It was amazing. The drummer, he plays drums while he's singing, and at one point he actually jumped up on the drums while he was singing, which was cool. Their bass player also plays drums and sings, so very experimental, interesting band. The crowd really liked them. Kithkin. I believe it's Kithkin. Great group of guys. And then for the special guest appearance for that show, it was Charles Bradley, who is this amazing soul, funk, bluesy artist that's drawing a lot of attention in Seattle and getting a lot of airplay on KEXP. the kind of music that most folks in Seattle probably aren't used to listening to. Mostly the bands that I've run into since I moved here were kind of experimental and psychedelic and hardcore. But this stuff is really bluesy, really funky, full of soul and R&B, and the crowd loved it. They just dance. There's so much love going between the audience and Charles Bradley and his band that you wouldn't believe it. He got down in the audience and gave everybody hugs and kisses, and it was awesome. Really, really big show for Seattle. And maybe a new a movement of a musical style here that people haven't heard much of, but more of a New York, Chicago, New Orleans kind of style bluesy stuff, which is what I've been doing as a musician. So it was a good sign for me that the city is getting into roots music and music that just is raw and makes you want to dance. In fact, I was talking to some youngsters there that were probably maybe around 18 years old. They were saying, oh, yeah, well, we like all these early Seattle bands and the psychedelic stuff, but because, you know, a lot of people are smoking pot up there, so of course they're going to understand that kind of music and like it. But they said, we like the raw stuff. And I asked them what they were listening to, and they said, the Sonics, which is a great old raw kind of punk-style garage band out of Seattle.
Oh, you got to love the Sonics. Yeah.
Definitely. Great stuff. So they were singing the song Strychnine to me. And then I asked, well, what else do you listen to? And they said, well, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Muddy Waters, Ray Charles. I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. So this is the music that I listened to so many times, and I heard these tracks so many times, especially with Zeppelin, that after a while I felt like, this is old school, man. I don't want to listen to this stuff anymore. And now these young kids are just grooving on the old rock and stuff that, you know, you would think would really be retro to them. But they loved Charles Bradley. And when I got a chance to talk to him and then introduced him to them, they were just starstruck. They're like, oh, my God, we got to talk to Charles Bradley. Oh, my God.
Wow.
He's quite a showman. He does a couple costume changes in the middle of his show. He's got a lot of James Brown microphone trickery going on. It's a really nice show. We all had a great time. And those are happening every Friday in Seattle throughout the month. So free shows for everybody. It was packed, of course, because it was free. There's also Bumbershoot coming up on Memorial Day weekend, so that's going to be a big show with Elvis Costello and a lot of other really interesting bands are going to be playing there.
Well, don't forget about Hempfest. Hempfest is coming up.
Yes, Hempfest, the 15th through the 17th. I've actually been invited to be a speaker there, so I'll be talking about legalization of marijuana around the country and issues of press freedom and how the media reports that story. There's also a bunch of art walks happening. South Lake Union just had their art walk the other day, and tonight we're having the Cascade Block Party, so I'll be out there playing some music, so it'll be fun. But yeah, there's a lot going on. The Capitol Hill Block Party happened a couple weekends ago, which it was a big show, and they closed down the street for a couple of days. But I also heard a lot of complaints from folks about the $60 ticket prices.
Yeah.
So that's one of those events that started out free, and now it's so expensive that a lot of people just don't want to go anymore.
Yeah, I'm one of those. But I love Capitol Hill. I love the party itself. But yeah, to get in there, $50, man, that's kind of steep. I don't know for what it is, but anyways, great lineup. They had a bunch of good bands up there in Capitol Hill. Hey, I've also plugged a new. Well, it's not new. It's 25 years going strong. A festival coming up here in Snohomish County, Festival of the River. And the Stillaguamish Indian tribe puts that on. It's totally free to everyone, and you get to not only to hear some really great bands like the Wallflowers are going to be up there this weekend, but also you get to see Native American powwow going on and taste a bunch of great food and see a bunch of great art. It's always a good time right on the river. So Festival of the River, I've got something out on it on spacetalkradio.com right now. So something else to check out. It's a full packed summer. Good stuff. Mark, what else you got? What should we be looking at as far as upcoming events?
Well, I should actually mention the fact that the Seattle Art Museum Sculpture Garden is also having some free shows, and that's going to be going on throughout the month of August as well. So if you're looking for something free and you're in the Seattle area, that's a great place to go. You can check out all the sculptures in the Sculpture Garden down by the waterfront, down by Myrtle Edwards Park. And then you can also check out the bands, and the band that we saw was called Midday Veil, and they are another one of these sort of psychedelic, ambient, experimental rock bands coming out of Seattle. They had a very animated female lead singer who was awesome. Emily, we got to talk after that. So I'm meeting these bands so that I can interview them for my program. So it's been a lot of fun. As far as the elections, well, what I've been covering on that issue is we have Jeff Spears, who's running against Frank Chop, who is the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the state of Washington. And she is a friend of Shama Sawant's and a member of the Alternative Socialist Party. And she is trying to kick butt out there on issues like rent control, closing corporate tax loopholes. And she actually was arrested last week during a protest against the oil trains here in Seattle, because there was actually a derailment, which Mike O'Brien, one of our Seattle city council members, was really upset about. Luckily, no oil spill, but it just shows they're using old cars that maybe are not as safe as we think. So Jeff Spears was actually arrested at a protest. So we have a candidate for the state legislature, actually, who had to spend a little time in jail there that day.
Yeah, I read about that. And I saw your tweets on that too. That's pretty amazing. The dangers of those oil cars going through Seattle, and to think there'd be more cars filled with coal going through there is just mind-blowing. So, yeah, very interesting story there.
Yes. Pramila Jayapal is also running and for the Senate, for the state Senate, and she's a long-time Democratic Party activist here in Seattle and very outspoken on a lot of issues. So there's some very interesting candidates running for offices. Not necessarily politics as usual. So we'll see what happens with that. And also, we got a friend out there in Hilo, Hawaii, running for county commissioner, Carrie Peterson. So good luck to her. She was a longtime journalist, provide a lot of community services there at Hilo by live streaming a lot of the county and the city political events. So good luck to Carrie. It is definitely election time now. We're in the primary season, so it's gearing up towards November for a general election here in Washington State and most of the rest of the country. But we'll see what happens. A lot of controversy in the national elections too, so we can follow up on that at another report. But in the meantime, a lot of people are just trying to enjoy their summer, so I hope everybody is enjoying it while you can, especially in Seattle, because we do have a lot of gray skies during the rest of the year. But there's a lot of great things to do in the Northwest, between Vancouver and San Francisco. There's a lot happening in the summer, a lot of festivals, a lot of big parties going on out in the woods and other places. So you will find something to do, believe me.
Yeah. And not only
summer.
Not only Seattle, but Portland too. Portland's got so much going on. It's like, what direction do I go? I mean, you can't. It's so hard to decide. Like, where are you going to be the next weekend? It's just a really busy summer. A lot of great stuff. And I love seeing all the people out there. Mark, do you have anything else you want to send out to the rest of the world?
Just know that in Seattle and Portland, when the sun is out, the people will be out because you have a limited opportunity to take advantage of that good weather. Other than that, I would suggest people, if you want to follow some of my journalism, check out my YouTube channel, MTC TV Media, because we've got more. We opened up a bunch of public playlists now, so there's over 100 movies and documentaries, music videos, political satire, cartoons, and all sorts of other stuff. And in the meantime, I'm still writing over at Daily Kos and Op-Ed News and reporting at the Norman Goldman, Mike Malloy, and Thom Hartmann shows, among others. And we did do that Jeff Santos show out of Boston, which was great. He's a great guy to work with. And I would just say stay tuned for further developments. There's